Hi, this is Gary Heine with the Food Growing People. I'd like to say hello to everybody. I'd like to say hello to Valerie out in California. The exciting news is Valerie's going to be back here in a couple of weeks, and so we'll be able to do some videos again together because, you know, we're such a great team. What I was going to do today, you know, there's all these greens growing everywhere, so I was going to just show a really simple way to cook some greens and use some other things that you might be growing or that you might be getting in your CSA boxes from your local farmer's market. So I picked some of these greens. I have a real shady yard, so I don't get a lot of lush growth in the greens, but I do get a little bit in these containers, and so I'm just picking the outside leaves of the kale and letting the inside stay in the sun and grow, and so we'll get some more growth out of that pretty soon. So what we're going to do is just go in and we're going to mix this with some Swiss chard from the farmer's market and some potatoes and onions and garlic from the farmer's market, and we got some fennel and lemon, and it's really very simple, super simple. I am a very simple cook, so a very simple cook with a cluttered kitchen. You remember me, don't you? So that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to show you how to do it. Just put it all together. Oh, potatoes, new potatoes. And it's going to be really delicious. And if I can do it, you can do it. And then you can make all sorts of adjustments to it in your own way. If you don't like some of the things I'm using, you can use something else, use different spices. So it's going to be fun. So here we are in my cluttered but light-filled kitchen, and you know, just want to remind everybody I'm a beginner experimental cook, so this is something that anybody can do. Here's what we are going to work with today. We've got some new potatoes, we've got some onions, some garlic that I just picked about a week ago. It just is ready to pick here. Got some fennel that I got from the farmer's market, and got some Swiss chard. And what I did is I cut off the stems of the Swiss chard. I'm going to chop that up and put that in a little bit before the greens, just because it'll take a little bit extra cooking, but not much. Got some kale over here, some that I picked from the garden and some that came from the farmer's market, and got a lemon. I started some olive oil, 1 or 2 tablespoons in this skillet over medium heat, and I'm just going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to put in the onions first. And you know, we're just going to give those a few minutes to get cooking, because they can really cook and cook, and they can end up getting really caramelized and adding some really amazing flavors to the dish. So we're just going to give them a couple of minutes. Just give it a good stir, get that oil all over it. Here's the garlic. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to cut up the fennel. It doesn't have the bulbs, but it has the stems and then the greens on the end, as you can see. Now, if this hadn't have been in my CSA box from the farmer's market, I probably wouldn't have even thought about using it. With all the variety of cool stuff that's growing and coming in and being harvested, you get to really experiment, and so that's what we're doing. I'm just going to cut up the chard. So I cut it one way and then I cut it the other way. So that'll be all ready when it's time to cook that. Give those onions a stir. They're getting nice, getting a little bit soft. So now we're going to go over here and find the potatoes. Put those in. Just give them a good stir. Once you could do onions and garlic and potatoes, then you can make a lot of things out of that, you know. You can add eggs to it if you want, you can add greens to it if you want. So those potatoes are going to take a little bit longer to cook, to get nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this lid over it, and then I'm going to turn it down to low, and just let it simmer in there and cook for maybe 10 minutes, and that should really bring all the flavors together really beautifully and soften the potatoes up. And then we'll add the greens and the seasonings. So I'm going to squeeze a lemon, which I cut in half. I'm going to squeeze the juice out of it, and there's this really cool juice press. It's got holes here, so you just put the lemon in like that, and then you just push down on it. And I always turn it around 180 degrees and give it another squeeze. And there it is. Then you throw that in your compost bucket, Then you do the next one. So this keeps all the seeds out and really gets all the juice out of the lemon. So now that we're close on the potatoes, I'm going to take the stems from the chard that I cut up, and I'm just going to put those in there because they're going to take a little bit longer than the greens. Just mix them in. And you know, just sort of like take it easy and throw in what you want, and you know, taste it and see how it tastes, and take it light and don't worry about it. Testing one of the fatter potato pieces. They're getting there, still not quite done. You want the potatoes to be done because the greens won't take long to cook. And when the greens get in there, the potatoes won't have as much cooking space. So want to make sure that the potatoes are done before you put in everything else. So what I'm doing down here while the potatoes are just finishing up is I'm cleaning up a little bit, because I read somewhere that the secret to cooking is to clean up as you go, so you don't have a lot of stuff left at the end. Now, some chefs I'm sure would argue with me and do it different, but you see, I'm not a chef. I'm just throwing some things together, so I'm just going to clean up as I go. Check those potatoes one more time. I think we might have them. That's done. So I'm going to come over and put everything else in. The kale, the Swiss chard, that tasty fennel. Oh man, that's gonna be tasty. So I'm just going to let that cook down for a minute, and I'm going to add the lemon juice. And then I'm going to use some of this Bragg liquid aminos all-purpose seasoning, which is so tasty. And I'm just going to put, you know, like a couple of tablespoons in there. And then just for the fun of it, I'm going to use this vegan organic Worcestershire sauce. It's called the Wizards. And I just really like the taste of that, so I'm just going to add just a little bit there. So a little bit of flavoring, a little bit of saltiness, and then I'm just going to let this cook down under the lid until it softens up the greens, and then I'll mix them together, and we're going to be close to tasting. You can see it's already starting to cook down. So this can be a great meal all by itself. You could add some beans to it if you wanted to, like if you had lentils. You could add some organic canned beans. That'd be great in there. To mix it in, use it as a side dish to something else. You could cook some eggs and have some with some eggs. So it really has a lot of versatility, and there's going to be leftovers, so I can have some more later tonight, maybe tomorrow. So, you know, the greens have gotten all soft and cooked down, and everything is just all blended together. Give it a stir, and it is really ready to eat. Just look at that, just all blended together, and it's so tasty. And everything either grown in the backyard or coming from the farmer's market. So many levels of flavor, really good. And you can do it too. So this is Gary Heine saying goodbye from my cluttered kitchen, and good luck and best wishes as you grow some of those foods that you're going to be cooking soon. See you later.